I think I think
comparison to Man of Steel.
I think comparison करना ना is basically us falling into a मतलब trap only, क्योंकि अगर comparison करना start कर दे तो हो गया, ठीक
No,
है।
matlab, how do we tell like it differs from previous
हाँ हाँ,
iterations to
दैट वी
what
विल
it is?
टॉक।
Just to
सर
clarify.
वो तो मूवी का डीएनए में ही है। इट इज लाइक
Ah.
बिल्ट ओनली एज अ रिएक्शन टू दोस,
Hmm.
लिटरली। मतलब क्या ही बोले। We can talk about the movie, we can talk about the comparison and what this movie ultimately stands
Hmm.
with respect to those, and we can talk about the overall fandom at large, because I genuinely think it is definitely very important to talk about what is happening right now
Hmm.
with the overall fandom। ये तीन main points ही है basically।
Okay.
And yeah, so anyway,
Three main
uh,
points, and I don't think so. We should cover history and all that, is it? Like it,
किस
no
चीज
need,
का
right?
इस
Like
सर एट
character.
दिस, मैं आई डोंट वांट टू साउंड लाइक एन ए होल विच आई ऑलरेडी एम, बट ठीक है। बट इट्स लाइक जेम्स गन को खुद ही लगता है कि सुपरमैन, लेक्स लूथर और लोइस लेन को सब जानते हैं, इसलिए कोई कैरेक्टर डेवलपमेंट नहीं छोड़ के सबको घुसा दिया मूवी में, ठीक है। सो इट्स लाइक
That's true,
हम भी
which
क्या
I will also
हिस्ट्री,
speak about.
हम
Yeah.
भी क्या हिस्ट्री दे इन लोगों के बारे में, हम भी जेम्स गन की
Okay.
तरह ही होते हैं। क्या
Okay.
हिस्ट्री ब्रो, who cares bro? That's the reaction at this
Okay.
point।
I'll start the episode now. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Queen is Dead. I'm Sanjeet and I have Amartya with me. And we're discussing the new Superman film, which is in theaters, directed and written by James Gunn, who has previously directed Suicide Squad, the Suicide Squad for
Hmm.
Warner Brothers already. And essentially, this is a new soft rebooted uh, world of the DC characters.
Hmm.
And with I think every film is supposed to be a newer tonality and a different genre of movie,
Hmm.
as spoken by Mr. Gunn himself.
Hmm.
So we'll speak about a certain number of topics, and under which we'll have our discussion about the film. The first, of course, being what we thought about the movie. And if you haven't watched the film, there's going to be a lot of spoilers that we discuss about. And yeah, like check this out after you've already watched the film. It's in theaters. So Amartya, what do you think about the movie? Uh, you can
Hmm.
just like go about it.
Honestly, my basic reaction is it's okay, चलता है। Literal
Hmm.
reaction is चलता है, it's okay। The main issue with the thing is कि जितना मैं सोच रहा हूँ इस मूवी के बारे में, the more and more I'm starting to
Hmm.
think about it every day, the more I'm not liking this movie, which is a
Oh.
bad side, yes।
Oh. Okay.
It's a bad side। It's
Okay.
not good। I think कि James Gunn's like approach towards making this movie should be applauded for just sticking to his guns and making a very campy, cartoony movie, which is
Hmm.
also proving to
Yeah.
be a lot divisive. It is proving to be heavily divisive. Okay,
Hmm.
but he stuck to his guns, and he, I truly believe he almost replicated the Saturday morning cartoon vibe which he wants to
Correct.
make.
Yeah, which is
I,
also
I,
I we spoke about, yeah,
yeah, I
before.
think he manages to successfully replicate that vibe। I don't know
Hmm.
whether he executed the overall movie that well, but वो vibe तो है। So,
Hmm.
and which is why because of that vibe, at least and because like मेरा कॉमिक बुक्स में थोड़ा बहुत इंटरेस्ट है, इसलिए आई जेन्युइनली डिड नॉट माइंड अ लॉट ऑफ द थिंग्स इन दैट मूवी। बट
Hmm.
मूवी में तो आई जेन्युइनली बिलीव मूवी में इश्यूज ज्यादा है देन मोस्टली पॉजिटिव्स। आई थिंक आई हैव मोर इश्यूज विद दिस मूवी than the
Okay.
positives in this movie, and I'm not speaking as somebody who likes Snyder movies and everything। It's not about that। It's just like बहुत कुछ है। आप बोलो फिर स्पॉयलर्स में
Hmm.
जाना ही पड़ेगा, बहुत कुछ है।
No, even I quite like the movie in general. I thought the vibe. See, I feel there are like just two ways to do Superman movie, and it's not a solidified idea, but I just genuinely prefer that. So, which in a way completely dismisses how Marvel makes their superhero movies, because I am not on board with their style anymore,
Hmm.
especially since I think for the last 4 5 years in whatever
Hmm.
way. So. either you make something like this, which is like a proper cartoon, which is like defining this is good, this is bad, this is how you define certain characters, this is the world. It's a little candy floss.
Hmm.
And the other which I like is Robert Pattinson's Matt Reeves Batman, which is like, make a superhero film for adults. Like,
Hmm.
actually make like a crime saga where like goth and whatnots, so that it has an identity. Not like something in the middle which feels like, no, it's real, but it's like comic booky, and then you are neither way. So for
Hmm.
me, the bigger aspect to this movie was that it stuck to its tone.
Hmm.
It believed in what it was going for. It needed to be like that Saturday morning cartoon vibe, which is essentially, I think most media outlets or like critics have just like pointed out about it being having that inspiration from the animated series.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it's very obvious, like everyone who's seen that show will identify that.
Yeah.
But also I realized, like, if you watch the film, like every scene just begins. Like you're
Hmm.
always in the middle of it, so there's no start to it.
Hmm.
It just
Yes.
like it wants you to assume what's
Yeah.
happening in between the lines. Like
I
from
think, yeah, and
from
I
one
think
scene to
that's a,
another scene.
and I think that's actually a problem. I genuinely think that's actually
Okay,
a big problem.
I
Uh,
don't know if for me if it was that much of a problem. I was like, okay, you're compressing things, which is fine because I don't want to know because I know what might happen, but that also takes away the drama of it,
yes,
which
yes,
is
yes. That
which
is a
is
problem. That is my big issue with this movie.
like
कि हाँ बोलो 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 बोलो
no, no,
बोलो.
just the thing. I'll finish wrap it up. What I was trying to say was, and then we'll fully
Hmm.
deep dive. Like how in the beginning only it just starts with him falling
Yes,
and then
yes.
him recovering. Right?
Hmm.
You haven't seen anything before that. You just told in text form. This 3 weeks back, 3 months, whatever.
Hmm. Hmm.
And then let's say when he's arrested at some point, right,
Hmm.
where he
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
surrenders essentially. The shot starts with him
Hmm.
falling on the ground
Hmm.
and the scene is already started. You don't even know how he approached. Like
Hmm.
something like that in Man of Steel, you see that whole heroism of him, you
Hmm.
know,
Standing in
reaching
front
there.
of, yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then there's a sequence that happens, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
There's no room for that.
Hmm.
And also it's like it breezes past away, like it's
Hmm.
like
Yeah,
2 hours.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I was like, okay, it finished fast.
Hmm.
But yeah, you can deep dive in whatever you
No, no,
like
I
spoilers.
think, yeah, yeah, I think, spoiler warning for everything, everybody. See,
Mm.
and this is also, I am trying to make this a tad bit educational for every aspect of the fandom here. That includes the
Mm.
Snyder Bros and the Gun Bros. All those
Mm.
people also. I want to make
Mm.
this tad bit educational. Okay?
I honestly didn't know James Gunn had fans in that
Oh,
sense,
oh yeah,
but
yeah, yeah. Now they
he
do.
does now.
Now they do. Yes.
Ah.
The thing about that is कि, see, there is a concept called in medias res, where you can literally start a movie from the middle of the scene, from the
Hmm.
middle of a narrative, and can just move on from there. Usually in stuff like in stuff when things start in medias res, like famously Star Wars is like that.
Yeah.
Star Wars always starts with an opening crawl कि क्या हो रहा
Yeah.
है, what happened, and then it enters into the world just like that. But like when you're doing something in medias res, the onus on the writer most of the time is कि you are going to flesh out and approach your reader and tell them कि see, this is the character, this is how it works, this is how it works in either dialogue or through some action that specifies what they are doing and how they are doing it. Like, see, my thing is, I know who
Hmm.
Superman is, right? You know who Superman is. Okay.
Yeah.
There is a famous Grant Morrison का panel in All Star Superman, not Grant Morrison, Mark Waid का panel, नहीं नहीं Grant Morrison only. Grant Morrison का panel in
Okay.
All Star Superman. There are three panels. Okay. Hey,
Hmm.
destroyed planet, doomed parents,
Hmm.
spaceship flying,
Hmm.
and escaping. बस
Yeah.
तीन panels. That's the origin story. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's his origin story. Okay, so again, compressing and starting in medias res in one thing. My issue, and I believe there is a lot. There is this issue that is stemming from a lot of people. Okay, Just because you assume that people know something doesn't mean that you don't have to do the work within the movie itself. A movie is supposed to stand on its own. ठीक
Okay.
है, a movie cannot assume so much. It can assume कि I know who Superman is. It can't
Mm-hmm.
assume that I know who this Superman is.
Okay.
Similarly, it can assume that I know the dynamic between Superman and Lex Luthor. It can't assume that I know the dynamic between this Superman and this Lex Luthor. ठीक
Okay.
है, ठीक है. That is my issue. Lex Luthor finally explains it in the last segment कि मैं ऐसा क्यों कर रहा हूं.
Hmm.
And that too in a monologue.
Hmm.
वो भी
Right.
शो डोंट टेल को ब्रेक कर रहा है. It's just
It's
telling.
when he's in that full rage about it's like, I
Oh.
envy and
I envy, I'm in a rage mode and all that stuff.
yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
so I am like, see, you cannot, मतलब क्या, you are not catering to, you're not catering to hardcore fans. And clearly what this movie is actually catering to are kids. If you are catering
Correct.
to kids, if you are catering to kids, you need to explain some stuff to kids, na? Kids are now finally coming off of watching anime. The anime is massive now. इन
Hmm.
एनीमे 20 मिनट में बहुत कुछ कंप्रेस करते हैं. दैट इंक्लूड्स ओरिजिन स्टोरी, दैट इंक्लूड्स अ लॉट ऑफ स्टफ. ओके.
Yeah.
सो इट्स लाइक किड्स आर कमिंग अप फ्रॉम वाचिंग एनीमे नाउ. यू कैन नॉट टेक किड्स फॉर ग्रांटेड एनीमोर कि किड्स को समझ में, किड्स को सब कुछ समझ में आ जाएगा एंड किड्स डोंट से एनीथिंग. वो बात किड्स में वो बात नहीं है. Even kids
Hmm.
who enjoyed a Minecraft movie, like you are essentially using Superman like Minecraft movie.
Okay.
Yeah,
Hmm.
you're essentially using Superman as Minecraft movie, which is a problem.
Hmm.
And believe me, I did not want to make this comparison कि Superman और Minecraft movie same चीज है.
But
But हाँ,
I,
बोलो बोलो.
no, I just don't think the Minecraft comparison sort of works because I thought like that's like that fandom is a little polite to say it
Crazy.
very politely.
Yeah,
It's a little
crazy.
idiotic, for my own taste because I'm like, okay, I don't understand this at all. So, but how I was thinking about this aspect of not explaining and all that, like in the sense, like you're in the middle of action and you
Mm,
discover about all these
mm,
people.
mm,
Something like that
mm.
we saw in something like Veera Zero Suran also. You remember,
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
which is this year. Like you're right put into the action. And, as like what the director said, he might do a part one, which is like
Mm,
bringing out backstories of these characters.
mm, mm, mm,
What I was thinking more so with this was, and this was an afterthought about like I went for the second time last night, so this is an afterthought about after the movie, which was like you sure you're put in the middle of the space and you don't know these characters, but a lot of backstory could be just uncovered in a way that through the narrative itself. Like I liked how even though it's a very generic, I'm
mm,
proud of you scene, which the
mm,
parents do,
mm,
right?
mm.
And the sequence where his father goes out and sits with him on the bench. It's a classic scene in the
Classic
middle of
scene.
a movie. You don't even need to define it. It's like it already is a definition of its own. Like
Yeah.
that frame of someone sitting on a bench and the other person also talking to him. It's like it's been done by Karan Johar also in
Yeah,
conversation.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
it's so generic in that sense, but
Mhm,
he knows the emotion well, so he's not like undercutting that emotion with humor or anything. He's like just take it as is.
mhm,
And in that, when he's like telling him stories or like telling him something about what him and his wife did, I mean Superman's parents did as an activity, and you're also discovering, okay, maybe they have a life beyond this, you know, beyond the
mhm.
farm or doing something. So I thought that could be an interesting way to just like uncover their families,
Yeah.
history or something like that. I, more so made me think so much more about they could do a Krypton,
Mhm.
like a like a
The
show or
web show,
something. I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
know,
Mhm.
just
But
something
I
which could.
think, yeah,
So
but I
that
think,
is my thought
yeah,
about
yeah,
how this could possibly be working in their heads.
yeah.
But I get your point. Maybe it just puts you a little away from knowing a
It's
little bit
two,
more. I guess
it's
I
two
think.
hours. This movie is 2 hours and 10 minutes long. This is
Yeah,
short. This
yeah,
movie
yeah,
is short. It's like it's paced so rapidly that
yeah.
again, I don't have issues with rapid pacing, but I can definitely see like it is cutting very quickly. And I think he wants to replicate the feeling of reading a comic book week to week or watching the animated series ka episode back to back. Like it's like
Yes, yes.
5 to 6 episodes in a week. उसका एक
हाँ,
collage basically
I was
in a
gonna say
way.
four to five. हाँ,
हाँ
same
हाँ
thing only यार.
सेम
हाँ.
थिंग ओनली एंड इट्स लाइक आई मीन ठीक है ना बट अगेन इट्स ऑलमोस्ट इट्स ऑल्सो लाइक अ मूवी लाइक यू नो
Hmm.
सेगमेंटेड और विनियट लाइक स्टोरी टेलिंग में भी यू नीड सम कनेक्टिव टिश्यू लाइक कुछ दिन पहले वी वर टॉकिंग अबाउट मणिरत्नम राइट इरुवर इरुवर का
Hmm.
हर सेगमेंट इज बेसिकली अ विनियट लाइक सेगमेंट बट उसमें कनेक्टिव टिश्यू
Yes,
है
yes, yes, yes.
either you're
हाँ.
referencing something or your music is referencing what is happening previously while while,
Hmm.
while things are like grounded within the reality of that vignette
Hmm.
so it's like
Hmm.
you need some connective tissue otherwise नहीं होता यहाँ पे at least for me and I think for a lot of people also like it doesn't work in uh
Hmm.
I I do think people who are angry at that this movie doesn't have that epic tone I think their anger is somewhat misplaced. I think the sense of the movie itself is that Superman is supposed to be like quote unquote relatable, which is also which is like a thing that many fans have wanted for I don't know eons. अब
Yeah.
मैं एक आदमी हूं जो कहता है कि सब कुछ रिलेटेबल होना चाहिए क्या दैट इज माई बिगर क्वेश्चन कि सब कुछ रिलेटेबल होना चाहिए
नहीं होना चाहिए क्या?
हाँ सब कुछ रिलेटेबल तो नहीं होना चाहिए कुछ कुछ तो आप डिस्टेंस रख सकते हो एंड
Hmm.
सुपरमैन एज अ कैरेक्टर इज वन ऑफ द मोर एस्पिरेशनल कैरेक्टर्स अलाइव इफ सुपरमैन इज
Hmm.
सपोज टू बी एस्पिरेशनल रिलेटेबिलिटी सब हर वक्त तो नहीं हो सकता ना भाई सो
Correct,
इट्स लाइक
correct. Hmm.
you making it relatable and because this is James Gunn's version of making him relatable is not just making him so down to earth that he is almost like he's not like he's down to earth but he's also like undercutting some emotional scenes with humor also
Right.
and that is a major
Hmm.
issue here वो जेम्स गन का प्रॉब्लम तो हमेशा से ही है
I
like
mean, that's
हाँ बोल
his style only, like
that is
inherently,
his
right?
style
He's
only yeah
like even like sometimes I was watching and I'm like, this scene, if you put it in like Guardians of Galaxy, it will
Guardians
just
of the Galaxy
like replacing for like to like feeling
yeah
of doing a scene like
And
that.
it's
But
not
yeah,
even, yeah, somebody was writing कि सुपरमैन स्टारलॉर्ड की तरह and I'm like that is way too harsh of a critic. स्टारलॉर्ड की
no,
तरह stupid नहीं है.
no.
सुपरमैन इतना
He's not
stupid नहीं है.
quirky. That's the thing. Like
Yeah,
they
he's
think he's
not
quirky and
quirky.
all. He's not quirky. He's earnest that way.
He's earnest. But I think his earnestness, वही मैंने भी लिखा था रिव्यू में कि डेविड कॉर्नस्वेट्स परफॉर्मेंस एटलीस्ट सेल्स द earnestness of Superman. But it's
Hmm.
like गन खुद के रास्ते से ही नहीं निकल रहा है. गन can't get out of his own way only.
Huh.
That's the
Like,
main issue.
but more than the performance, I think it was sculpted also very specifically for that kind of feeling. And the thing that you're talking like the
Yeah,
last
yeah.
two Superman movies that have come. I'm not talking Batman vs Superman, but like the two introductory movies.
Yes, yes.
Actually, Superman Returns is also not an introductory movie. It is a continuation
It is a continuation.
of the Superman 2.
But उसमें भी ना scenes था which is reminding you of who this Superman is. Like वो Krypton
Right.
से वापस आया है. There is an entire extended scene with his mother. ठीक है. It is essentially
Yeah.
reminding you that this is a continuation of the Chris Reeve Superman. It's a very different
Yeah.
argument
Yeah.
that that movie is boring as shite, but वो बात में नहीं जा रहे हैं. ठीक है. Anyway, हाँ बोलो
Hmm.
बोलो.
No, the last rendition of Superman technically, which felt like okay, Zack Snyder's. I mean, we should do a little bit of comparison of how the new one differs from the
Hmm.
last one at the release, but the sort of relatable happy Superman that they've been looking for is
Hmm.
Christopher Reeve's Superman, which I mean Superman 1, 2, 3, 4, but the third and the fourth parts were like not so
Conveniently
good.
forgotten for good reason also. Conveniently
So
forgotten, but good reason
so
also.
it's actually been a while since they've had like a character which is sort of very light-weighted and all that. So I was talking to a friend also last night, and how that person defined this movie was also it's a good comic book movie. Like I don't
Hmm.
need to worry about any sort of world building because like that person was like, I know how comic books are, how comic book panels change from frame to frame. To that person
Hmm.
felt like I'm actually reading comic book. Like
Hmm.
constantly when
Hmm.
he was watching it, he was like, you know what? It feels like when I'm like going through pages and when I'm flipping pages, I know I could see those talking bubbles coming up and talk. Like they're having a
Hmm.
conversation, or an action sequence where he hits. There's like that whole pow and like boom.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
he was constantly telling me that, you know, it reminded me of a comic book. So I was like, okay, maybe it is reaching out to people in a way, and mind you, they're not like fully like cinema going to
Casual
cinema all the
fans.
time. People, yeah, they're casual fans. Let's
Hmm.
just say. So to them, when they it is appealing to them on that level,
Hmm.
I was like, okay, maybe something right they could have done. But also understand like how it sort of also angers you on a different level of just like not telling you more about this who
Hmm.
this Superman is in particular.
इन
And
पर्टिकुलर आई थिंक वो सुपरमैन का इशू नहीं है, ठीक है। आई थिंक
हाँ,
दैट्स द थिंग। आई थिंक सुपरमैन का वो इशू नहीं है। लाइक दिस मूवी इज
हम्म,
entirely about Superman. It is not even about Clark Kent. It's
yeah,
entirely about Superman, to the
हम्म,
extent that my majority of his supporting cast are basically guest appearances, except say your Lois Lane and Lex Luthor. The
हम्म.
majority of his supporting cast are guest appearances, which
Like
is
Perry and all those don't even get barely
they
get like
don't even
lines, man.
they barely get lines. Jimmy Olsen का subplot तो मतलब I understand that Jimmy Olsen is basically like this in the comic books, but I'm like ये क्यों है इस मूवी में? I'm like okay, you did not need to give this, but ठीक है. It's cool, man. And everybody else, it's like the Justice Gang. The Justice Gang is barely in the movie except say Mr. Terrific. Wo
Hmm.
really gets some moments to shine. I genuinely
Yeah,
think that
I
Eddie
really
Gathegi is
liked
fun.
Nathan
Yeah,
Fillion
yeah.
also. Funny guy. I
Uh,
always like
yeah,
cherish
yeah.
his performances.
He's funny.
So
Yeah, he's
yeah,
funny. And Hawk Girl has nothing to do, which is
yeah,
disappointing. Very
barely
disappointing.
anything to.
Barely anything to do. Which is I think a major problem with this movie on multiple levels. Ki 2 hours and 10 minutes it has. It has to service so many things. And
Hmm.
like you are overstuffing a lot. मैं तो सबसे बड़ा problem में तो अभी भी आया ही नहीं. Which is
Okay,
like
go for it.
that war subplot. There are two major
Huh, it's
problems.
something I wanted to discuss with you as well. Huh? So you think it is a problem, huh?
It's a massive problem. I think it's
Okay.
a massive problem for one very simple reason. एक तो you are making a movie for kids, which is like okay, you are making a movie for kids.
Explain a little bit about what is the war thing in this film so that people have some context.
ठीक है, सो बेसिकली वी लर्न दैट बोरेविया नाम का एक कंट्री है
Fictional.
which is essentially trying to take over another country, neighboring country called Jaranpur, and it is trying to cleanse Jaranpur, या take over Jaranpur on the pretext of essentially freeing them. ठीक है, so many people are saying, and there is enough room for people to say, कि Gunn is essentially taking a stand in the Israel-Palestine conflict and being utterly pro-Palestine. My point about this entire war thing is, पहली बात तो this is between two fictional countries जो barely developed. Barely. It's like half a subplot. ठीक है,
Hmm.
it's just vague enough that you can literally put any conflict within the Middle East or any conflict within the world ka war itself. Like there are many people who are also calling it the Russia
Yeah,
Ukraine comparison also. So
very
it's like
given types, huh?
very given type. So it's like इतना given जब कर रहे हो and then you are expecting me to believe that this is your pro incisive commentary. I'm like क्यों? मतलब and it's not even कि मैं बोल रहा हूँ. It's like the movie, by situating the war within the movie itself is saying कि देखो देखो we are also being politically correct, which is also another thing that happens कि लूथर का जो prison है. Okay, let's look at it from a real world comparison.
Hmm.
एक industrialist basically detains his ex-girlfriends and his dissenters in a private prison that is situated away from the country in a different area जिसको किसी को पता नहीं कहाँ पे है. ठीक है,
Hmm.
okay, people can read whatever they want into it. I'm like, people can read whatever क्या they want you to read into it.
Yeah, yeah. I
They
mean,
want
bald
you to.
millionaires, how many do we have even?
बॉल मिलियनर्स हाउ मेनी डू वी हैव? इट्स लाइक प्रेसिडेंट हाउ मेनी डू वी हैव? क्या ही और कर सकते हैं. आई एम जस्ट सेइंग कि इतना लिप सर्विस तुम दे रहे हो इन अ मूवी वेर यू डोंट इवन गिव इंपॉर्टेंस टू द सबप्लॉट. I was talking with a friend. I was talking with a friend last night.
Yeah.
ठीक है, and she's like, I was telling them कि मेरा issue क्या है, and I told them, and since we are talking spoilers, कि the war becomes essentially engineered by Lex Luthor so that the government can give him an excuse to hunt down Superman or to basically trap Superman and ensure that he is completely defeated. So essentially, this is becoming like a personal vendetta for him. ठीक है. If
Okay.
ओके सो वो लास्ट में कहता है राइट, ही लिटरली
Right,
सेज
right, right.
दैट, लास्ट में कहता है राइट.
The whole
एंड दिस,
Einstein Galileo thing.
yeah, the whole Einstein Galileo thing. And this friend essentially rephrased what I was also thinking ki you're essentially, this is essentially the opposite of what a systemic genocide is about. Now why I'm bringing this up, if I'm going to look at
Hmm.
it through an Israel Palestine lens, what is happening in Palestine and Israel is systemic genocide.
Hmm.
And this
Yeah.
is exactly the opposite of what a systemic genocide is about. That's one.
Hmm.
Systemic genocide cannot be caused due to the manipulation by another bigger country cannot be the cause of systemic genocide. Systemic genocide doesn't happen that.
So you're
So
saying it's so connected to our like
yeah,
reality
yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
you're not able to like
Yeah.
separate. You're like this. You do it well types basically.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
that's what you're trying to say.
basically like तुम इतना lip service दे रहे हो Israel Palestine को, but you are not doing anything with it. That is my whole point. You're not
Hmm.
doing anything with it. And it's also like, how does the war end? How does the war end? The war ends with Justice Gang, ka Green Lantern, Hawkgirl, Metamorpho, and all these people essentially coming down to stop the war. So तुम
Hmm.
कहना क्या चाहते हो? तुम कहना क्या चाहते हो? इसराइल और पैलेस्टाइन को क्यों कौन आना चाहिए? यूएस. सो बेसिकली अमेरिकन एक्सेप्शनलिज्म ऑल ओवर अगेन. तो तुम कहना क्या चाहते हो?
Right.
That is my whole point. What are you trying to say, man?
But don't you think okay, they're also funded by like some
Yeah,
natural launch company. So
yeah, yeah.
now I was trying
America.
to think of a counter. I
uh,
mean, not to you, but I'm just trying to think like, wasn't the whole Superman trying to fly and go there? Was also
yeah,
trying to get rid of his USC-ness
yes,
of it
yes,
all.
yes. Yeah,
And
yeah.
like, I am for humanity
Yes. Arey,
and
I
not
am
just
for, yeah, yeah, which is good, which I understand
Hmm.
also. Okay, I am for
Yeah.
humanity. My point is, your war is ultimately ending with a US industrialist funded super team essentially coming down to stop this war. So, क्या American exceptionalism?
हाँ.
अब जब भी ये बात आप बोलो बोलो किसी को, दे विल बी लाइक, अरे उतना कौन सोचता है? अरे गन सोचता है ना, दैट इज माय
I
प्रॉब्लम.
mean, not just that, like, जब the point if someone says उतना कौन सोचता है, just tell them, bro, ये भी तो सोचा ही ना आपने like about this war. So
एग्जैक्टली,
it's
ये भी तो सोचा ही ना. वही ना.
it's that point is just stupid, honestly. But yeah, first of all, I was surprised he
या
chose
वेरी
to make
सरप्राइज्ड.
something like this because I was like, I wouldn't expect something like this in a conventional because
Commercial
irrespective of
Superman.
anything,
Yeah, irrespective of anything. Yeah,
the way US politics is so polarized at this point, like
at
it's,
this point, yeah.
it's either this or this. There's nothing in the middle, right? And these reactions also cause people to just say, oh, this is
Filmmakers.
amazing or this is shit. Like
Yeah,
it's nothing in the middle, which I'm
just
like,
because just because this movie is taking a stand, people are like, this is amazing. I'm like, मतलब क्या
yeah.
है? कहना क्या
So
चाहते
you're
हो?
jumping between two polars just for that statement is something which I don't understand because I'm
I
like,
also don't
no,
understand. No,
there's
you
more to
cannot do
this
that.
film beyond that.
Hmm.
Criticism, appreciation, that's a separate conversation.
Hmm.
But my point is just think a little more sensibly about what you're trying to say. But
What are you
sure,
trying to say? Yeah, yeah,
I was surprised he took something like this because it inherently is going to divide people.
yeah. 100%. It is
So
inherently
and
is
and
going
you're
to.
making a 200 million film, man. Like you need to also make money at the end. I'm sure, like will make money
It
because sure
will.
it is one of
It
the
should
better
make
ones,
money. It should make money. But it's
one of the
like,
better
yeah,
superhero films I would say in the recent times at the very
yeah,
least.
recent times. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean,
my
huh,
my second main issue, and this is
huh.
going to stick in my craw so bad.
Go for it.
That origin story twist is garbage. That twist is garbage. I am
That's full
like,
on Invincible. Huh? I was thinking of Invincible.
Yeah, yeah.
the
It's not
show.
even, yeah, yeah, it's Invincible. It's My Adventures with Superman. It's The Boys. It's literally any sort of subversion towards Superman taken with form. So यहाँ पे, and I'm not going to take full credit for this, मतलब थोड़ा thoughts मेरा है, but I am also going to give credit to big picture का Sean Fennessy, who is a far bigger, better critic than I am, or Adam Neiman,
Okay.
who is a far
Okay.
better critic than I am. His opinion, and I strongly agree with this, कि this is James Gunn's auteurism. ठीक है,
Okay.
जेम्स गन बीइंग एन ऑटुअर, दिस इज एसेंशियली जेम्स गन का ऑटुअर getting fully encapsulated within this simple figure. Why? Because James Gunn in all his movies essentially puts elements of himself within all his characters. ठीक है, now that is okay for characters who the general public has no idea about, which is why Guardians of the Galaxy works for a lot of people, because Guardians of the Galaxy में Star Lord और Drax जो है, they are nothing like the comics, but they are James Gunn characters.
Correct. Hmm.
Similarly, Suicide Squad में Peacemaker, वो Peacemaker का टीवी शो है, he is nothing
Yeah.
like the comics. Peacemaker or Vigilante, he is nothing like the comics, but these are James Gunn characters with their own issues which James Gunn likes to explore in all his movies. So these are all James
Correct.
Gunn
Correct.
characters.
Correct. Correct.
Okay, this is the work of a filmmaker who likes to tell his stories and through those stories connect himself within those stories through these mechanisms, which I'm
Hmm.
like, fine, many auteurs do that, Scorsese does that,
Hmm.
Nolan does that,
Yeah.
सब
Yeah.
बहुत
Yeah.
लोग करते हैं, बहुत लोग करते हैं. I believe this is Gunn's basically approach to Superman, and he is trying to explore that through his own lenses. I believe that the origin story being essentially antithetical to Superman's values, ki, you know, Jor-El and Lara basically sent him to invade Earth. ठीक है, create a harem, which I'm like, what a garbage line to write in a movie. But ठीक है, explain to kids harem क्या है, I dare you. ठीक है, create a super harem, blah blah blah, take over as many wives as you can, blah blah blah, and everything. And there is a logic कि this might be fake. The problem is कि मूवी में वो
Correct.
रिजोल्यूशन में कोई कोई रिजोल्यूशन नहीं है उसके
Ah,
बारे में, ठीक है.
that's even I was confused. I was like, at least explain me, what happened to that.
No, no, and this is what Fennessy and even I agree. ठीक है,
Hmm.
कि this is essentially James Gunn basically reflecting and commenting on what happened with him and Disney. कि tweets of his past, which basically resurfaced due to the work of some trolls, monkeys, ठीक है, due to the work of some trolls, essentially reveal James Gunn to be something which he believes he is not, and that is why he was fired. So basically, due to work of his past that he holds no importance to, he essentially is being cast out, and the
Hmm.
public turned on him, and now he is going to rebuild himself. So
Ah,
essentially, this is the quote unquote encapsulation or
hmm.
apotheosis of James Gunn का main character
Himself.
energy essentially taken form.
Yeah.
Superman is James Gunn.
This is when you write a review, you need to have like the top headline. No, this is that Superman is James. James Gunn is Superman.
James Gunn is Superman. I can also say
Yeah.
James Gunn is Lex Luthor also. क्योंकि Lex Luthor का version of Superman is essentially James Gunn as the head of DC Studios. He's jumping up and down. He has ideas. ठीक है, he is moving left and right. He's dealing with the media. He's putting out contradictory statements left and right. And when people on social media ask him, "What are you doing with Superman?" He's being defensive and essentially replying to all the comments. Essentially what
Hmm.
Luthor is doing. Luthor is petty as fuck. Luthor basically एक कप फेंक देता है, ठीक है, it breaks down. He's crying out in rage. Cartoon है पूरा. So Luthor is also James Gunn. Th-
Hmm.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. And
No, I think that's a very interesting read into the film because I didn't
yeah.
think of it as being this personal, honestly.
Hmm.
So, I mean, sure, it is a problem or however you want to put it, but I didn't
Again,
realize it in
I wouldn't
sense.
put that as a problem. I just think it is very fascinating.
No, correct. That's what I'm saying. It's like so interesting to just have this sort of read that you've had.
Yeah.
But this parents ka undercutting the whole idea of this thing, I think if just like how we are like just into a little pop culture and all that, like
Hmm.
we've seen Boys and Invincible, which are like really hit
Yeah, yes,
shows
yes,
on Prime.
yes.
Um, I just feel it becomes too boring in a sense because I wanted
Very
to see
boring.
something, maybe something interesting, if as a thing that
Not
would have
even
happened.
not even that, yeah. It's like if you're going to make Superman honest, why not just embrace the fact that Krypton में Jor-El and Lara basically sent him to help people.
Huh.
Make it that earnest. Why not? Make it that
Hmm.
earnest. Because it's like, see, you are telling me that you are taking elements from the Silver Age, but in reality you are taking elements from Crisis on Infinite Earths के बाद जो सुपरमैन का रन है जॉन बर्न का वहां से तुम ले रहे हो एंड दैट इज क्लियरली नॉट सिल्वर एज दैट इज मोर लाइक मॉडर्न एज ऑफ सुपर हीरो
So
स्टोरी
it
टेलिंग.
is in the comics that this the parents thing actually happens,
No,
right?
no, no. The parent thing
No.
doesn't happen. Yeah, no, no. The parent
Okay.
thing
No,
doesn't
no,
happen.
no. At least the versions that I've read, I haven't seen them. So maybe like in any version that I haven't
No, no,
read.
no. Superman ka parents being this, I just remember Superman's parents being this being a thing in a recent animated show called My Adventures with Superman.
Okay, I am unaware about that. So
Yeah, which is a fun animation. But
okay,
उसमें भी दिखा है कि Kryptonians are basically moving in to invade
okay,
Earth. ठीक है, there is an invasion
okay,
process. Yeah. There is an
okay, okay,
invasion
okay.
process.
Okay.
Yeah. So My
Hmm.
Adventures is Superman में basically वो explore हो रहा है. थोड़ा एल्सवर्ल्ड कॉमिक्स में थोड़ा बहुत एक्सप्लोर होगा बट मेन स्ट्रीम कॉमिक बुक लाइन में सुपरमैन के साथ ये नहीं है.
Hmm.
सो
No, no,
बोल
continue,
बोल.
finish.
नो बोल बोल कोई इशू नहीं बोल.
No, I was just trying to think of like you mentioned about subversion and all that.
हम्म.
And like we also mentioned about like we would also like have a little bit of discussion about its comparison with the last Superman iteration, which was Henry Cavill's Superman under Zack Snyder's direction. And how Zack Snyder also believed in subversion of the character, which he does it like with like actually like a guitar playing at the back, like that
हम्म.
sort of
हम्म.
punk energy in a way,
हम्म.
and not like this earnest energy. So I'm saying, how does this subversion compares to the earlier subversion? So do you want to expand on it a little
आई
bit?
थिंक
Like,
आई थिंक आई थिंक दोनों सबवर्जन अलग
no,
है दो.
also with respect to how you are annoyed by this subversion. So,
I am just basically annoyed by this subversion because again, if I look at it purely from a simple head canon way, ठीक है, simple head canon way.
haha.
पहली बात तो इस सुपरमैन का बैक स्टोरी का कोई डेवलपमेंट है नहीं. सो आई डोंट इवन नो हाउ टू रिएक्ट कि उसका पेरेंट्स मर्डरिंग क्रिप्टोनियन मॉन्स्टर्स है जो चाहते हैं मैं इन्वेट करूं. आई
Hmm.
डोंट नो
So,
आई डोंट नो
but
अबाउट द सुपरमैन एनफ. हाँ बोलो.
but do you think that could also be discovered later on? Is are you okay with that in a way?
आई मीन मेरा ओके होने से कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. इट्स लाइक इफ दे आर गोइंग टू प्लान अ यूनिवर्स दे
हाँ
कैन
हाँ.
बेसिकली पुट दैट एक्सक्यूज ओनली कि वी विल एक्सप्लोर इट लेटर. यहाँ पर
No,
शट ऑफ कर रहे
but
हैं.
if you think about it, okay, I'm not. This is not a counter or
नो नो
anything.
नो नो
But
ऑफ कोर्स. हाँ.
what do you think about something like what the Batman did with the Penguin's character? Like
हाँ.
how they explored the character in a show and like it nicely expanded on his lore in a way. And
Nicely expanded on his lore, but if you remember in the Batman, पेंगुइन का जितना जरूरत था हमें हम लोगों को मिल गया राइट. कि पेंगुइन इज
hmm,
बेसिकली ऑजिस. पेंगुइन इज बेसिकली
hmm,
जो कौन है कार्माइन फैल्कोनी का कोट एंड कोट राइट हैंड मैन है.
hmm,
Then we learned that Penguin is actually not happy with Carmine Falcone, and he's trying to ensure that Falcone goes down. ठीक है. और कॉलिन फेरल का परफॉर्मेंस और जो सब है वो उसमें से वी कैन अंडरस्टैंड कि पेंगुइन इज एसेंशियली वेरी मैनिपुलेटिव कैरेक्टर. उतना ना
correct.
हमें बैटमैन में ही मिल गया था.
Correct. That's true.
उतना हमें बैटमैन में ही मिल गया था. मेरा प्रॉब्लम तो यही है कि इन मीडियाज रेस पे आप सुपरमैन और लेक्स लूथर और लोइस लेन और पूरा यूनिवर्स को डाल रहे हो लेकिन आप उतना डेवलपमेंट हमें नहीं दे रहे हो कि वी शुड केयर.
Hmm,
we only care in as
correct.
much
I
कि
agree.
we only care in as much कि ये सुपरमैन है और ये लेक्स लूथर है. ये आर्किटेक्ट्स
Hmm,
है. वी ओनली
hmm,
केयर इन एज मच ऑफ दैट. बट इस
hmm.
मूवी के हिसाब से ये सुपरमैन कौन है, ये लेक्स लूथर कौन है, ये लोइस लेन कौन है, हमें नहीं पता.
I think they're just relying heavily on
हम्म.
explaining all that later on. Like Like
Yeah.
sometimes, you know what, this is something I believe in, and you guys know about it. I'm always like, you know what, maybe in like later on, if you watch something as a whole, it just makes more
As a
sense in
whole,
general.
it might make more sense, but it's like you are
Yeah.
but this is like you're making a middle chapter. This is like you're making a middle chapter of a story
Ha.
जिसका first और third chapter है ही नहीं.
Correct, 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 correct.
ठीक है ना?
I
And
agree.
again, it's a storyline. I don't disagree कि it's a storyline that cannot work. Of course, it can work. मतलब, but
Hmm.
you have to be very clever at it. You have to understand कितना information आप देना चाहते हो, कितना information आप देना नहीं चाहते हो. This
Hmm.
entire idea of Kryptonian parents being essentially murderers and conquerors, but Superman being raised by farmers, this brings up a very interesting idea of nature versus nurture, which could be explored much later. Because the nature versus nurture question essentially is risen, right?
Hmm.
He is being brought up by farm people.
Hmm.
He's
Correct.
being brought up by farm people, right? So that is why the inherent goodness of Superman comes from him being raised by his adoptive parents.
Right.
So the nature versus nurture question comes into the picture,
Hmm.
which is an idea that could be explored. And credit to Khan, थोड़ा बहुत explore हुआ भी है क्योंकि that porch का sequence is there between him and Parket.
Hmm.
So that
Correct.
conversation is there. So वो थोड़ा
Correct. Correct.
explore हुआ है.
Hmm.
And also I think वो Lois Lane, what I think Lois Lane is the best part of the movie. I genuinely think so. I think
Yeah, I think it's one of the better iterations of
better
Lois Lane.
iterations of Lois Lane. I
Even
just
though I
wanted
like
her more.
Amy Adams, but like she wasn't
Uh,
given much to.
She wasn't given
Mm.
much. I
Yeah,
think I wanted her more in this movie. Rachel Brosnahan is
same.
terrific in this movie.
Yeah,
Terrific in.
like the way she's like imposing herself in every scene. Like I like it. I really
Yeah,
like
yeah.
this
She's like
version
very
of.
strong, headstrong character. And
Mm.
I blame the marketing material so much for this movie. ठीक है. वो
Okay,
marketing material में जब trailer आया था, that clip of him conversing with Lois Lane in the beginning of the movie, that interview thing,
right.
and him reacting very like reacting very much like exploding emotionally and all that stuff, that didn't sit well with a lot of people कि ये सुपरमैन
Okay.
3 साल से सुपरमैन हो रहा है, लेकिन इतना जल्दी इमोशनली ब्रेक डाउन हो रहा है, ये सब क्या हो रहा है. इन द कॉन्टेक्स्ट ऑफ द मूवी, in the
Huh.
context of the movie, I can understand why he's so emotionally vulnerable, because this is a guy who is clearly in love with Lois Lane, but
Correct. Yeah.
Lois Lane is still confused. Lois Lane is still confused whether she loves him enough. वो
Right.
dilemma है.
Right. 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 Which is a good. You
Which is a
know.
good back and forth. Which is a good
Yeah.
back and
Yeah.
forth.
I really
So
like that sequence. I was like,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it really puts me in there with like
Hmm.
these characters going front
Hmm.
and back about like some.
It works. It works within the context of the scene. Though I have to say to all these people, and I'm also pointing out the critics. दो जर्नलिस्ट बात कर रहे हैं, मतलब ये नहीं कि ये हिज गर्ल फ्राइडे का होना जाए. हिज गर्ल फ्राइडे को आप इंसल्ट मत करो भाई, प्लीज. हिज गर्ल फ्राइडे का स्क्रिप्ट बहुत फाड़ू है. आप क्या कह रहे हो?
Hmm. Hmm.
लोगों ने कुछ ना कुछ मूवी देखा है, मूवी का नाम सुना है, वो सब घुसा देंगे एक राइटिंग में दिखाने के लिए कि हाँ हम कितने मूवीज देखते हैं. अरे भाई, अजीब है.
Ah.
एंड इट्स लाइक ठीक है भाई. एंड देयर इज अनदर सीन बिटवीन Superman and Lois that I liked, but many people have an issue with. I like that scene between him, Superman, and Lois, when Superman is essentially like angry at the world and he's like brooding, okay, and he can't find Crypto the dog. And then she comes with hot cocoa, and
Coco. Correct.
before that she asks him, "Ki, you have a dog?" Okay.
Hmm.
And then he's like, he's not even a very good dog.
Hostage situation.
Yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
foster situation. He's not even a very good dog. When that conversation is happening, there is
In
a
the
fight
background.
going on in the background. Okay.
This is the typical gunnism, right?
This is the
The
typical
intercutting and
gunnism, intercutting and all that.
action.
I think I liked it. I liked it because it's
Hmm.
like he's essentially telling you कि ये world ऐसा ही ridiculous है.
Hmm.
This world is ऐसा ही ridiculous कि
Correct.
monsters are coming left and right. 2 दिन पहले काइजू आया, एक इतना छोटा सा मॉन्स्टर एक काइजू बन गया, लोगों को पीस रहा था 2 दिन पहले. अभी यहाँ पे
Hmm.
एक फिफ्थ डिमेंशनल इम्प है जो यहाँ पर घूम रहा है, एंड सुपरमैन इज जस्ट एग्जॉस्टेड, एंड सुपरमैन इज लाइक जस्टिस को कह रहा है कि आप लोग हैंडल कर लो, मैं थोड़ा सोने जा रहा हूँ. And I'm like, he's trying to tell you कि the world is like that.
Correct, correct, correct.
He's essentially
I,
giving a marker of the world.
hmm.
And I like that because even though the focus, आप जब कैमरा को देखोगे, आप कभी कभी देखोगे कि फोकस उसमें जा रहा है, फिर the focus is returning back to the conversation. So
Hmm.
it's like Gunn is having fun with it and then he's pushing back. I would have liked कि वो बैकग्राउंड में आउट ऑफ फोकस ही रहने दो, वो हो रहा
Hmm.
है वो बैकग्राउंड में आउट ऑफ फोकस ही रहने दो कि
Hmm.
बट
Hmm.
मेन फोकस इज इन द कॉन्वर्सेशन.
Hmm.
मेन
I think
फोकस
he
इज,
wanted people to just point it out.
yeah,
That's why
he want,
probably the focus
yeah,
shift.
focus shift.
Because I people
I
around me was like, "अरे ये तो पीछे लड़ रहे." I'm like,
yeah,
bro, like don't say it out loud, bro.
don't say it out loud. But I think,
But
but
yeah,
I think
that's
it
the
would have
nature of
worked.
audiences, bro.
It would have worked. I think it would have worked far better in both highlighting the comedy and yet not breaking away from the emotion. कि just put that in the
Hmm.
background. वो हो रहा है.
But it doesn't do that all the time, which is I was like, okay,
No, it,
good.
it doesn't do that all the time. Yeah.
Let some emotion scenes be emotional scenes. You
Yeah.
don't need to undercut them with like,
Yeah, which does become a problem in some other scenes,
which
especially
one?
towards the end. Especially towards the end, वो सुपरमैन का मोनोलॉग. पहली बात तो वो सुपरमैन का मोनोलॉग की oh screw you Lex, this is why you have never understood me. I am also human. I also
Right,
think twice before blah 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 blah. ठीक
right,
है.
right, right,
बहुत इमोशनल सीन है, हो रहा है फिर सडनली क्रिप्टो कम्स आउट ऑफ नोवेयर एंड देन सडनली स्टार्ट्स बैशिंग लूथर लेफ्ट एंड
Bash.
राइट. आई एम
Yeah,
लाइक,
yeah.
yeah, आई एम लाइक,
That's a little Avengers like.
I'm like funny scene. I'm like funny scene that you basically undercut a very emotional sequence of that
Moment. Ah,
Superman, emotional
correct.
moment of the Superman. It's a different issue कि I don't like that emotional moment also because for me as a comic book fan I'm like ये Superman है नहीं. That is my literal reaction
Hmm.
पहले ही, ये Superman है नहीं.
No, but it's not as radical s- a stretch of character than it was in Zack Snyder's Man of
No,
Steel.
no, yeah. But
That
yeah.
that the interpretation was like so far away, which also I liked, honestly. I
Yeah,
know
I
Dhruv
like, I really
hasn't,
like Man of Steel. I really like Man
yeah,
of Steel. I think many
Dhruv hasn't
people,
enjoyed it so much.
yeah, I think many people, I'm not saying misunderstood the point of Man of Steel. I think many people
Digest?
can't digest the fact that Zack Snyder is essentially trying to put hyper realism in a concept which is completely against realism. So
Huh, it's true.
he's trying to put hyper realism in a concept. This is like a lot of people का argument है कि जब Superman is punching a lot of people, there is no shockwave or there is nothing. I'm like, reality है ही नहीं, bro.
Hmm.
रियलिटी तो है ही नहीं, इसीलिए जो सीजीआई मॉन्स्टर्स है लाइक ही स्पिनिंग एंड देन ही स्पिनिंग लाइक शक्तिमान एंड देन किलिंग सो
Yeah,
मेनी पीपल, बेसिकली ईटिंग सो मेनी पीपल एंड इट्स लाइक रियलिटी तो है नहीं ना, इसलिए दो सीजीआई आर लाइक रबर फिगर्स एंड इट वर्क्स
correct,
फॉर दिस मूवी. इट
correct,
वर्क्स
correct.
फॉर दिस मूवी.
You're right.
ठीक
Yeah.
है, सो इट वर्क्स इन दैट कॉन्टेक्स्ट बट अगेन द कॉन्वर्स इज
Hmm.
बिकॉज दिस इज सैटरडे मॉर्निंग कार्टून स्टेक्स है नहीं, दैट इज द
Huh.
कॉन्वर्स.
Huh, that's the frothiness of it all. Like you're like,
Yeah.
just you're here to enjoy it, and like go home. That's the point.
Enjoy it and go
It's
home.
not asking you to have like Man of Steel was so,
Yeah.
how do I say?
Serious. Man of
Like
Steel was so
it
serious.
was
Yeah.
like biblical and
Yeah,
like
yeah. Epic.
political. It's
Epic,
an
epic. Yeah.
epic. So you're
Yeah.
seeing this for the first time, and this is the last time you're going to see this kind of an epic, which is
Yeah.
like
It's like,
that was the intent.
that was the
So
intent. Huh.
sometimes that could be a little too heavy-handed, I guess.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
it's not that heavy-handed also. Like people sometimes are just like, you know what, it's
Hmm.
like little exaggerated.
Many people have an issue with James Gunn. Many people have an issue with Zack Snyder. Essentially, that Jesus allegory Zack Snyder is shoving you into your face. I'm like, this is a guy who made 300. What the hell were you guys
Yeah.
expecting?
Yeah,
मुझे तो
man.
समझ
Like
में नहीं आ रहा है. What the
it's
hell
like
were you guys expecting?
if you've seen like one movie by the guy, you know what it is going
You
to
know
be
what he's
about.
going to do. It's not as if that he has the biggest, and again, I'm not the biggest Zack Snyder fan, so I can say this. It's not like he has the
Hmm.
biggest understanding of all the great graphic novels. Uska Watchmen
Hmm.
as a movie, अच्छा है. But you cannot tell me that he understood the fundamentals of Watchmen, the graphic novel. Eh, ठीक है,
For me,
he
it's
didn't.
with Zack Snyder, it's more about like
Cool visuals.
visuals plus how much I'm going to enjoy. Like something like what
Yeah.
was the last thing that he made for Netflix, which we both bashed?
Rebel Moon.
Rebel
awful,
Moon. Huh.
awful, awful.
Huh. So, I mean, I am putting in effort to watch something, make something interesting, and don't make it generic, bro. That's what I was
Don't
trying to
make
say.
it generic, na?
Like, like Watchmen, whatever you said and done, it is interesting to watch, man. Like,
It is
it's a
very
very
interesting to watch,
interesting
yes.
world. You're there. It's like
Mm-hmm.
a noir also. It's like a superhero man. It's like a murder mystery,
Yeah.
and like who's trying to do more?
But
It's
people who
always
know
fun to
what
watch something
Watchmen,
like that.
yeah, but people who know what Watchmen is about can basically say that Zack Snyder को पता नहीं Watchmen किस बारे में है.
He's just doing his own thing at the
Yeah,
end of
he's
the
just
day.
doing his own thing. So
Like
it's like,
it's like he read the comic,
yeah,
and 10 years later he's just trying to think what it was.
yeah,
So it'll
he's
it'll
just
never have
trying
the
to
same result.
he's just trying to essentially create those images of the comic book panel. And जितना भी आप criticize कर लो
Yes.
स्नाइडर के बारे में, you cannot deny कि guy can essentially recreate images और create cool images. ठीक
Yeah.
है.
Yeah. Yeah.
बस
Yeah.
उसको ये कहना है कि आप सिनेमेटोग्राफी मान दो, सिनेमेटोग्राफर कोई दूसरा को ले आओ, नहीं तो वो भी निकल जाता है. आर्मी ऑफ द
What is
डेड
the
में वो देखने को
army of
मिला
the
था.
dead?
बाप रे, आउट ऑफ फोकस इतना हो रहा है, शॉर्ट है, लाइक क्या कर रहा है भाई, लाइक क्या कर रहा है भाई. एंड इट्स लाइक देखो, जेम्स गन का, अगेन आई एम नॉट द बिगेस्ट जेम्स गन फैन ईदर. आई एम वन ऑफ द फ्यू पीपल हु डू नॉट लाइक एनी ऑफ द गार्डियंस ऑफ द गैलेक्सी 1 और 2. 1 and 2 I don't like. I like 3.
Right, you mentioned.
I don't like 1 and 2. Okay, I liked James Gunn when he came to DC. I liked him. I liked him doing Suicide Squad. I really liked
Suicide
that
Squad.
movie. I
Hmm.
really like that movie. I strongly believe his Peacemaker is a masterpiece. His season one Peacemaker is insanely good. It's so
I
good.
really like it. I really
Yeah,
enjoyed
it's
it. Yeah.
so good. And it's like when Gunn is dealing with characters of that mold, he excels. I
Hmm.
genuinely think he Gunn as somebody as a filmmaker is not that good at creating very interesting images. ठीक है,
Hmm.
which is why I don't know, you might agree with me on this. The closest this movie has some interesting imagery is when वो pocket universe में वो बच्चे को बचा रहा है, मेटामॉर्फो का बच्चे को बचा रहा है, and he's flying
Hmm.
through the anti-proton river, and then
Yeah.
he's being sucked into the black hole, and he has to
And then he
put
just
this
like,
ice spray, yeah, and he
yeah,
pushes
yeah.
back. Like
That is a
those,
very Zack Snyder moment also. Like if you
mm,
can just like take
yeah,
it and put it in Zack Snyder movie, you know
yeah,
it can just be a
yeah, yeah.
part of it, like this
Yeah,
slow mo.
but that imagery and those are the very few moments where I thought this is very fascinating imagery. This is like
Hmm,
very
hmm, hmm.
interesting visually.
Correct.
Very, very
No,
interesting visually.
there was another moment where he's like just spinning and killing those
Yeah,
those
yeah, 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 yeah,
robots who just come together. Or, no, not robots,
yeah.
but whatever the army.
Raptors, yeah,
There's
Raptors, yeah.
that movement where like he turns around and the S sign just like comes
Yeah,
right
it comes
on
right in
the,
front of your face and then he
yeah.
moves up. Yeah, yeah.
Also visually, I thought like it was an interesting decision to like stretch
Uh,
it up and down type and not like the wide screen Panavision type
अरे
thing.
फ्लैश का सिनेमेटोग्राफर है ना, वही तो प्रॉब्लम है.
Which you don't like, which is something I will always fight with because I thought it's an interesting way to shoot a film like this with wide lensing.
It kind of works in the movie. It kind of works in the movie. His flight
Yeah,
kind of works in the movie in some instances. In some
because
instances, it looks very jarring. In some
I'll tell
instances, it
you
looks very.
why I can try to justify it because I thought I'm tired of watching someone shooting 100 lens from like like 60 feet away and like you seeing that kind of a wide to
Hmm.
a like 25 wide and you're
Hmm.
actually close to the character.
Hmm.
Because I'm
It's
like, okay,
essentially like you are flying with Superman. That is the
correct.
intention.
And also the portraits, when you see them on screen and they
Yes.
occupy the whole frame, it just
Yeah.
feels like you're closer to them. It's something which I also saw in like Killers of the Flower Moon and like there are these shots of
Yes. Yes. Yes.
characters
Yes.
like full portrait shots and
Full
like
portrait
they fill
shots.
up the
Yeah.
whole screen.
Yeah. Yeah. But
Another
those are
lofty comparison, but
a
it
very
could be a
lofty
little
comparison. ये
jailer.
ध्रुव सुन के ध्रुव would be like, ये क्या कह रहे हो, ये कह रहे हैं ये लोग किलर्स ऑफ द फ्लावर मून के साथ सुपरमैन को कंपेयर कर
No,
रहे
even
हैं.
in Jailer, which like the Rajinikanth
Yeah,
film,
yeah,
which
yeah,
is
yeah, yeah, yeah.
you see those kind of portraits with like top and bottom filling frames
जेलर
and
में
not
तो
like
आई स्ट्रांगली बिलीव नेल्सन वाज हेवीली इंस्पायर्ड बाय जैक स्नाइडर. वो जैक रजनीकांत का जो एंट्रेंस सीक्वेंस है, वो लाइक फोकस स्लोली ही इज कमिंग इनटू फोकस एंड देन द कैमरा सडनली मूव्स फास्ट फॉरवर्ड एंड देन ही इज लाइक
yeah.
shoving you in
Apparently,
the
he
face
is
with.
very specific about his shots also.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He already knows what he wants. And so it's a
Yeah,
good thing
yes.
about a director. But point being, I liked
Yeah.
the camera work
I think
essentially.
it is inconsistent. I think it works in some
Okay,
instances. I don't think it works in other instances.
like
Left hand side का जो shot है ना, when he's flying, when he's very angry and he's
it's
flying
like
at,
shaking and all that.
yeah, yeah, that doesn't work. That
You thought
doesn't
it was
work.
jarring.
Yeah, it is
Hmm.
very jarring. I don't think that works for me. I have seen enough
Hmm.
flight comparison, like moving upward and everything. I'm not even bringing
The
Superman.
opening flying sequences I liked where it's like right above him. It's like
Yeah,
rigged to his body
yeah,
too,
yeah,
and he's
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
flying through
yeah, yeah, yeah,
all
yeah,
this, and then the face front
yeah, yeah.
shots as well.
Far better shot than the one in the trailer. That trailer shot was
I've
abysmal.
not seen the trailer, so that's another
Yeah,
thing. So I don't
yeah,
know
yeah,
much about it.
yeah. That trailer
But
shot was abysmal. But this one, iska shot अच्छा है. It's like
but
वो
I liked
CGI
it, like
correct.
how specifically they thought about shooting with these lenses. Again, I would say there was it just there was something interesting about Flash's cinematography as well, but maybe not utilized to its best. Here, it somewhat feels like it's earned this kind of camera work.
Hmm.
Which is why I thought it's like justified in a way about using these wide angle lenses where you're like just seeing like the wide angle lenses I just find fascinating as a thing because
Hmm.
you put like the scope of that
Hmm.
lens is such that you put a character in the middle.
Hmm.
There's like still so much spaces left at the back on the sides,
Yes.
which you can utilize it for something
Hmm.
interesting, which is what happens here as well in many
Hmm.
places. So I
Hmm.
was like, it's sort of working for me in
Sort
in,
of.
in that sense. Yeah.
It's interesting to say the least. I think it is interesting. I don't think it works
Hmm.
all the time. And again,
Hmm.
I think
I
it
don't think it's
also
going to you're going to see this kind of lensing otherwise in a
otherwise, yeah,
superhero
yeah.
film
In a
in
superhero film, unless this guy, I don't know. I'm very sorry for the name. I think Henry Braham is the name of the cinematographer.
Henry Braham. Yes.
Yes, yes. So I think unless he is involved in any of these films, I don't think you are going to see this cinematography. So people
Yeah.
who do not like this cinematography, rejoice. वो ज्यादा नहीं देखने को मिलेगा. वो issue नहीं है. But again, it's
Yeah.
like I think आपको और कुछ कहना है? Otherwise, I think
No,
we have said enough. I think.
I really liked the movie in general. I was like, okay, it's
Hmm,
a very good interpretation.
hmm,
Sure, we discussed some of the issues and
hmm.
whatnot, but I liked how
I
it
think
sort
it's
of
a good enough interpretation. थोड़ा बहुत तो plot hole तो 100% है. Like
वो तो ठीक है यार.
there
I'm
is a
like fine
massive
with those.
there is a massive plot hole which many people are talking about कि देखो अगर सुपरमैन को मेटामॉर्फो के साथ ही छोड़ना है और उसका हाथ एक क्रिप्टोनाइट बन जाता है तो आप मेटामॉर्फो को फुल क्रिप्टोनाइट बना के क्यों खत्म नहीं कर देते तब सुपरमैन को आप ये
हाँ.
सब क्यों कर रहे हो दैट इज अ लेजिटिमेट प्लॉट होल लेजिट
But don't you think they wanted to have those answers from him before
या
they went like full kryptonite on him?
क्या आंसर दैट इज ऑल्सो बिगर क्वेश्चन ना क्या
No,
आंसर
they wanted him to like they had questions from him, right? Like they wanted to know like who are his parents and all that kind of thing.
yeah but again if Luthor really wanted to kill him
हाँ.
मार दो ना प्रॉब्लम क्या है यू क्लियरली डोंट हैव एनी कंपंक्शन फॉर किलिंग
But
पीपल यू
that
बेसिकली
takes away the
पोशॉट अ
fun
गाय
of someone being like a
ये
Shakal type villain, man. Just like if you kill them.
हाँ बट वो वही बट यहाँ पर भी लाइक जेम्स गन का थोड़ा बैलेंसिंग एक्ट का वर्जन है ना शाकाल बीइंग शाकाल is not going to kill you just like that शाकाल is basically Blofeld right शाकाल is just going
Yeah,
to
yeah,
throw you
yeah.
into the शाकाल is just going to throw you into the wormhole and feed you to the sharks शाकाल is not going to take a gun himself and shoot a guy वही ना
So it's just funny when we take it to Shakal and all that. And also
but that's
Blofeld
what
every time.
he's doing right
Yeah,
that is
yeah, yeah,
exactly
yeah.
what he's doing
No, just generally I really like the film. It's a very good interpretation, I would say. Very good interpretation in the sense like it's honest, it's sincere, it's not
Hmm.
like
It's a
trying to
good,
be something else.
it's
Like that's what I
okay-ish
that's what I
interpretation.
liked.
It's okay-ish
Hmm.
interpretation. I think I don't like this movie as much as I wanted it to. I'm genuinely
Huh.
disappointed only because I
Okay.
expected a lot more from this movie.
Okay, okay. So I had no expectations from it. So I
Ha,
mean,
ha,
I didn't
ha.
even see the trailer, so I didn't even know what it really is, except some of the memes and
Yeah,
some of the stuff that you guys kept putting on the
yeah,
group. So I was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah, I know it has like this kind of
Hmm.
lens. You guys were like
Yeah.
bashing it on it. So
Again, it's like I'm not the biggest James Gunn fan anyway, but his track record at DC so far wasn't too bad. So I was like, "Give,
one
see
film
you, yeah,
and
see you are
Peacemaker.
like, yeah, and Peacemaker. See, you are handling Superman. Again, when Gunn was announced to be handling Superman, मेरा तब से ही skepticism था कि Superman is too big a character for this guy.
हाँ.
especially as someone who clearly wants to imprint his own thoughts and ethos into a character like this.
Hmm.
Superman is too big. Superman is genuinely too big. Superman is genuinely too important.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Especially
Yeah.
for गन का ethos, which we clearly see, वो origin story को shift कर दिया, वो social media
Hmm.
के बारे में बात कर रहा है, all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Superman is too big a character for you to do that. You can do
Hmm.
it with literally anybody else. I'm not even kidding. You can do it with literally anybody else. Superman is too big.
Hmm.
Uh,
So, would you still recommend it to people to go and watch something like this?
ऑनेस्टली मेरा 500 रुपए गया टिकट में।
Expensive.
और पॉपकॉर्न में भी गया और कोल्ड ड्रिंक्स में भी गया। अगर मैं उस हिसाब से देखूं और स्टोरी का सिंप्लिसिटी देखूं, मैं ये
Huh.
कहता हूँ कि आप ओटीटी में देख लो।
Okay, interesting.
हाँ, आप ये
Hmm.
ओटीटी में देख लो। अगर ये मैन ऑफ स्टील होता, मैं कहता भाई थिएटर में जाओ, मस्त एक्शन है, वो
Yeah.
एटलीस्ट देख के आओ। तो वो
Yeah.
एटलीस्ट देख के आओ। ये
Hmm.
मैं ओटीटी में कहूंगा। एक सीक्वेंस, एक या दो सीक्वेंस है विच इज रियली वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग। अगेन वो प्रोटॉन रिवर का सीक्वेंस ठीक है, और वो
Huh.
अल्ट्रामैन के साथ जो फाइट हो रहा है वो थोड़ा बहुत सीक्वेंस इंटरेस्टिंग है। क्रिप्टो इज वेरी क्यूट। आई डिड नॉट एक्सपेक्ट क्रिप्टो टू वर्क इन दिस
Hmm.
मूवी।
He's
क्रिप्टो इज
yeah.
वेरी क्यूट। ठीक है।
It's a kids movie also, yeah. Like
इट्स अ
I
वेरी
have
मच अ
to.
किड्स मूवी, इट्स वेरी
Yeah,
मच
it
अ
is
किड्स मूवी।
catering to that. Some of the elements may or may not work for them, but I think that's
बट
pretty
वही
respectable.
बट वही
I
अगेन
I
अगेन
like it for its candy floss take.
या
I
या
really much like for
या
its candy floss take. I did not expect it to have any other. It's like polar opposite of Man of Steel only, I would say. So,
इट्स वेरी रिएक्शनरी ओनली इन दैट रिस्पेक्ट। पोलर
uh,
ऑपोजिट मतलब फुल
I think
रिएक्शन टेक।
reactionary is the right word to say.
Yeah, it's very
So, if
reactionary. Yeah.
you are just like if you're interested in seeing like a very different interpretation from Man of Steel. For a lot of people, Man of Steel is Superman because that's how they
Yes,
grew up,
that's how they
right?
grew up. Yeah,
This is a very nice counter to it. So you can
yeah.
also watch it and be like, you know what, it's another chapter in the book type.
हाँ, बट प्रॉब्लम
I
यही
don't know,
है
it's
कि
just me.
बट
My perception.
प्रॉब्लम यही है कि आप और मैं बहुत ज्यादा सिनेमा देख चुके हैं, इसलिए वी कैन जस्ट टेक इनटू अकाउंट कि ये एक टेक है।
हाँ,
बहुत सारे लोग तो मतलब गन फैंस वर्सेस स्नाइडर फैंस, गन फैंस आर लाइक एक्सट्रीमली हैप्पी कि स्नाइडर फैंस आर फाइनली लूजिंग एंड ऑल दैट,
yeah,
स्नाइडर फैंस आर
that's
लाइक
just
एंग्री एंड लाइक
social media super shit,
social
right?
media stuff. And many people are like this is not realism, से कुछ है नहीं है, like he doesn't want to make realism। मैं आपको क्या बोलूं, realism नहीं चाहिए इसको। which again I say that, but then I see him
Hmm.
including a war subplot which is essentially supposed to mirror Israel Palestine, or he is
Yeah, yeah,
essentially talking about social media and all that stuff which is essentially supposed to mirror him stuff, and I'm like realism देना नहीं चाहते हो फिर realism को ले रहे हो। I'm like
yeah,
थोड़ा तो इशू तो है भाई इस मूवी में, बैलेंसिंग इशू तो
yeah.
बहुत है।
But
अगेन
I think it's trying. So I'm a little generous also like that. I'm like hearty. Like
हाँ,
I would say go watch
मेरा
it
जेनरोसिटी
for
बहुत ही
a
लो
different
है।
interpretation.
या मेरा
But
जेनरोसिटी
I
वैसे भी
don't
लो
know
है।
how. I would say I'm still unsure about how for people this could be their first Superman movie types. Is
या
what I'm.
आई डोंट थिंक इट वर्क्स इन
So
दैट वे
I
आल्सो।
I I don't know about that part. Maybe like 5 years down the line I might have an answer. But
As a first Superman movie, if this is your introduction to Superman, I think this is going to confuse you to hell. This is going to
yeah,
confuse you so much.
because you have no context to a
You have
lot of
no
things.
context, nothing.
Yeah.
This is
So.
going to confuse you so much. Essentially, exactly because we are like this is targeted to kids. If you're
Yeah.
targeting it to kids, थोड़ा explain तो करना पड़ेगा भाई।
I don't know how they would have done it without telling the first half of it, but
अरे
maybe they could have
टाइम बढ़ा
seeped
दो,
in a lot more. I don't
अरे
know.
टाइम बढ़ा दो।
But then they also didn't want to increase it. I don't know. I'm just trying to
Give room
justify
to
it.
breathe ना, give room to breathe ना। Clearly there are sequences which needed more room to breathe। थोड़ा
Hmm.
इमोशनल सीक्वेंस तो चाहिए। नहीं तो क्या होगा। मैं एक बात बताता हूँ, वो जिमी ओल्सन का सीन विथ लूथर का गर्लफ्रेंड, यू कैन लिटरली कट दैट सेगमेंट आउट। कुछ नहीं चाहिए
But
उस।
then they need something comedic happening in the background, right? That's how they're
कॉमेडी
trying
तो
to
हो
do
ही
it.
रहा है, कॉमेडी तो हो ही रहा है।
No,
लूथर तो कार्टून ही है।
yeah, but they need something explicitly that, and also then they also made it a plot convenience, right? Of the leaking of stuff
हम्म।
from his girlfriend. So it's just like, I don't know. I thought like maybe it's like too inherent to the plot. Maybe if the
Hmm.
plot wasn't that, maybe something else it would
I
have.
don't think it's too
I don't know.
inherent to the plot. If the entire joke of the movie is ki Jimmy Olsen looks like this, but he's reluctantly charismatic, so people are like falling, girls are like falling all over him. Okay, and it's like
Hmm.
okay, that is very faithful to the comics also, क्योंकि Jimmy Olsen के साथ ऐसा ही होता है. But
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, if you're going to do that, you do it like the comics. ऐसा हो रहा है, but then Jimmy
Hmm.
Olsen is like, I don't know what to do, and Lois Lane is like, how do you do it, Jimmy? ठीक है.
Uh,
So literally, you cut that entire scene out, and then he gives imagery, he gives those photos of Eve Teschmacher taking all the selfies, and Lois is like, "Wait, how do you know this girl? How do you do it?" वो एक्सप्लेनेशन ही नहीं चाहिए कि उसको म्यूटेंट टोज है, ये सब है, वो सब है. आई एम लाइक, क्यों दे रहा है? और सबसे बड़ा बात कि वेन ईव टेशमेकर इज टॉकिंग टू हिम, अल्ट्रामैन सुन रहा है. आई एम लाइक, क्या
ah,
है?
see that those convenience, though I'm like, हाँ ठीक है, you do it. It's like I don't care much about
अरे
it because
ठीक है. वही ना. It's like if you try to delve too much into it, you're breaking the Saturday morning cartoon का entire
हाँ, the
immersion.
why, yeah, correct, correct, correct. I think
If you try
that's
to think too
the
much, that
problem.
you're going to break the immersion. It's like,
Mhm.
yeah. Uh,
Anyway, I
anyway, बहुत कुछ कह दिया.
wrapping it up.
Wrapping
Wrapping
it
it
up.
up.
Yes.
Uh, I like Amarth has already given his verdict. You can watch it on when it comes on TV
Yeah,
or on
OTT.
your OTT or whatever.
Hmm.
I would say if you want to see an interpretation, you can just go and watch
Hmm.
a different
Yeah.
interpretation. Simply if Man of Steel was your first Superman film.
Hmm.
Uh, but if you want to have like a nice Saturday morning, movie,
Cartoon.
this is that.
Yeah,
This is
this is
it.
essentially that. Yeah.
So maybe if you
I'm
want to go
interested in the
have fun.
universe. I want to see if this universe ultimately succeeds financially.
True.
I want to see what Gunn does with this. But again,
Hmm.
if Gunn is going to direct more movies in this universe, he better write it a tad bit better. Honestly,
Hmm.
this
Uh,
movie ka writing
they,
is
they've
weak only.
probably rushed into this movie, I guess.
Yeah.
That's
They
the
probably rushed a lot into
yeah.
this movie. देख
But
के लग
anyway,
रहा है. हाँ.
I think this is the end of the episode.
Hmm.
We've discussed a fair bit. You can follow us on Instagram at Amartya25, me at Pixel underscore Baba. You can also follow us on our Instagram page at queenisdead.film podcast. And you can, write to us if you have any other suggestions, because anyway, this we've become a little inactive. So if you have suggestions for some topics or something, even though we have a lot to talk about and
We
there are going to
really
be
do.
episodes in the future, uh, you can still write us some suggestions about interesting topics in general
See, I
and
think वो
or any other
inactivity, I think
discussions.
वो inactivity और भी हुआ है. Correct me if you agree with me, do tell. I think वो inactivity और भी हुआ है क्योंकि present day movies जो release हो रहा है,
हाँ,
कुछ बात करने का है नहीं.
true. But we are doing the Taiwanese new
We are
wave.
doing, yeah, we are planning a Taiwanese new wave का
Yeah,
conversation.
so
Yeah,
that will be something interesting of an episode
yeah,
for
yeah,
people who have no idea about Taiwanese
yeah,
cinema in
yeah.
general.
That includes
Um,
me also, by the way. So
हाँ,
मुझे
I
भी
know
movies देख के
you are going
बताना
to be.
पड़ेगा. Yeah, so movies देख
Uh,
के ही बताना पड़ेगा मुझे. So it's like,
yeah, you, Dhruv, and I don't know
hey,
who else is joining
I
in
think
that.
Prakhar is joining, but ठीक
Pakar
है.
is joining. Okay, chalo.
Yeah,
It'll be
चलो.
fun.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you so much for listening to this episode. Tune in to us sometime in the coming few weeks as well. And
So,
also subscribe to us on YouTube because we might do some live stream in the coming few weeks.
yeah, yeah.
Not we might, we will do
We will
something.
do. We will do. Yeah.
Yeah.
We will
Anyway,
do.
thank you so
Anyway.
much for listening. This is the end of the episode. Khatam.